Welcome to Club and Country. Welcome to the AT&T MLS studios in Midtown Manhattan. The Gold Cup is almost upon us, and it's time to take a look at the tournament at large. And let's start with this question, guys. Why do you love the Gold Cup? What makes it so exciting and fun and incredible?
I'm not sure I love it as much as you do. That was pretty fired up there. But I do have some great memories. I mean, even some good, some bad, as far as, you know, I remember seeing my friend Stuart Holden make an incredible run through and then getting injured in the final, but us going win, them holding him up afterwards. Gio Dos Santos chip, of course, and then I was at the final in 2007 in Chicago when Benny Feilhaber hit that lovely volley from outside of the box. So some iconic moments in the rivalry and a lot for people to remember.
Well, almost every single game is a rivalry, too. One thing about all of those matches you mentioned was that it was a rivalry game, whether it was U.S. and Costa Rica or Canada and U.S. or U.S. and Mexico. It's all of these rivalries bundled up into games every couple days, all in a single month.
Yeah, absolutely. Once it gets to the knockout rounds, it has that feel. But viewing this through the lens of someone who's been watching U.S. soccer for a long, long time, this was the tournament where the U.S. national team would get to prove it against Mexico. And Mexico was absolutely the heavyweight, and I think they probably are now again, but they were absolutely the heavyweight in the 80s and 90s when I started watching U.S. soccer and started being involved, and it was, we have to beat them in the Gold Cup. We have to prove that we are equal to them, or if not better, on the continental level.
The same way we deal with the CONCACAF Champions League now at the club level.
It's that, and it was so much pain. But then we got there for a few years, and it felt so good.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of back at square one.
There was about a 10-year stretch when if the U.S. didn't win the Gold Cup, it was 2 years that were just morose and depressing because that was the standard. If you didn't win, it wasn't good enough.
It gives you that chance. Like nothing else really gives you that chance. And I think Canadian fans can probably relate to that in a lot of ways as well, especially with this, what feels like special group coming up for them.
There's been a duopoly in CONCACAF in the Gold Cup. It's been the U.S. and Mexico, Canada, the only other team to ever win this thing in 2000. Here's how it goes down this year. A new format, up from 12 teams to 16 teams, 4 groups. The top 2 teams from each group will advance to the quarterfinals, and the final will be played on July 7th in Chicago. All right, let's take a look at the last 5 Gold Cup finals here, starting with 2017. The U.S. 2-1 winners against Jamaica. Jordan Morris, remember him from that game. And then you have the back in the 4th. Mexico in 2015, the U.S. knocked off by Jamaica in the semifinals. The U.S. knocking off Panama in Chicago. I was at that game. Mexico 4, USA 2, and then Mexico 5, USA 0. We all remember that one. Again, it's a duopoly. That's how it's been for a long time here in the Gold Cup.
But I think you're starting to see the shift there in that graphic because it was always U.S. Mexico, and then you see Panama, Jamaica. So you're starting to see really this growth of the other countries around CONCACAF really stepping forward, partly due to the growth of MLS and a lot of the professional atmosphere that these players have become a part of. And that's challenged the U.S. and Mexico to continue to raise their game. I expect to see more of that going forward.
We have you covered, and we'll be there every single step of the way with the U.S. men's national team pregame and postgame shows on Club and Country. You can watch on the MLS app, MLSsoccer.com, Twitter, Facebook, and the postgame show on YouTube before and after every single U.S. men's national team game. But the tournament starts with Group A. Mexico, Canada, Cuba, and Martinique. And the heavyweight, Matt, is clearly Mexico. Tata Martino in his first tournament in charge. But it is not the big guns. They have some changing of the guard going on here.
They do, within the roster and obviously at head coach. And Tata Martino, we know what he did in MLS, but before that, he led Argentina to back-to-back Copa America finals appearances. He was great for so long with Paraguay as well, and he's like the polar opposite of Juan Carlos Osorio, who tinkered and did something different every single game and never let his players get comfortable. With Tata, the way he builds a team is he figures out one thing to get them really, really good at, and then he adds accoutrements and wrinkles as it goes on. So I expect this to be like a primordial version of the Mexico that we see a year or 2 years from now. It's exciting. He's a really, really good coach. Kind of wish Mexico didn't have him.
No Carlos Vela, no Chicharito, no Tecatito Corona. No Carlos Vela. I mean, the list goes on and on.
One
but
player they do
still
have.
have talent, Jonathan Dos Santos.
That's right, and Dos Santos is finally coming back into his peak form. He wasn't great in 2017 or 2018 with the Galaxy, but in 2019, he's been one of the best midfielders in Major League Soccer. He's doing a little bit of everything, starting deep, building possession, getting up into the box, and he had lost his influence within the Mexican national team over the last couple years, but if he is at his best, he's someone that can help this team win Gold Cup.
Mexico have Canada to deal with in Group A. Canada trying to make a run here. 2017 was an improvement, Calen. 13 and 15, we won't talk about that. No wins, no goals. What are they going after in this tournament?
This is the next step in their progression. They have such a nice blend of experience. Atiba Hutchinson, Hoylett playing in Europe. They have players making big marks on their clubs domestically here in the United States and in Canada with Jonathan Osorio, Mark Anthony Kaye. And then they have youth talent, and most notably Alphonso Davies, who is the most dynamic talent in the Gold Cup. I mean, his coming out party was the last Gold Cup where he led the field with goal scorers, I think 5 in the tournament. Just 3, excuse me. It felt like a lot, but I mean, he's been fantastic. We've known him in MLS from his time here, and then now he's taken a step forward over at Bayern Munich. He's going to be fantastic, must-see watching for any fan watching this Gold Cup.
Watching Alphonso Davies in the 2017 Gold Cup was one of the best sporting experiences you could have had. It was unbelievable to watch the 16-year-old just crush people.
It's been a lightning ascent for Alphonso Davies. Let's turn our attention now to Group B. Costa Rica are the favorites here, as you can see by the FIFA rankings. Haiti, Nicaragua, Bermuda. But it is Costa Rica that the focus is on, and Kendall Waston is the guy to watch, probably.
Yeah, he's one of the guys to watch. And Costa Rica, it seems like for a long time, has been the third leg on the stool in CONCACAF. This team has come so far in the last 25 years to the point where they were level with or even better than the U.S. and Mexico for a lot of times. But that golden generation has just about moved on. Waston was at the tail end of it. They did bring Alvaro Saborío back out of retirement. He'll be here for this one, which is really weird, but that just tells you how much of a talent gap there is between the older Costa Ricans and the younger ones. They don't have a golden generation coming up.
Favorites in this group, Costa Rica. Let's take a look at Group C. Jamaica, 56th according to the FIFA rankings, just knocked off the U.S. 1-0. Honduras, El Salvador, and Curacao here ranked 82nd in the world. Andre Blake for Jamaica, the captain, the talisman. They love him there. He will have to stand on his head, Calen, if they're to make a big run.
Yeah, I mean, he's been fantastic for club and country, and just so dynamic in his ability to make saves that not just the ones you're expecting him to, but he seems to always be able to reach up and catch the ball or tip it over when you need it for Jamaica. And now an experienced Jamaican side. You know, this is a team that's been to back-to-back Gold Cup finals, so he has the experience behind him and the ability to really kind of take a next step forward in some leadership with this team.
And it's possible that we see Jamaica win this thing at the end, and we'll look back and say, well, of course, they had Andre Blake.
Yeah, he's that good.
Trachos, Honduras, they've got an opportunity here, maybe in between generations a little bit. But Albert Elise is a guy that I don't know if you want to share the potential trade, the CONCACAF trade you had. You could just wax poetic about Albert Elise if you want.
Well, he could be the star of the tournament. He has the talent to put Honduras on his back, get them into the knockout rounds. He's someone that in any given game can just eat defenders up and win it by himself. And I just wonder, coming in, is he the best attacker coming to this tournament? Will we come out of this saying Albert Elise was what Alphonso Davies was in 2016?
Just so our viewers know, Bobby chickened out right there. Bobby said he would take Elise over Christian Pulisic.
It was a pondering, Matt.
He said he would take Elise over Christian Pulisic straight up in a trade. If Honduras is going to win, is it going to do anything in this Gold Cup? Elise has to be that good because, like Costa Rica, like Panama, like the U.S., they are a team in between generations.
There is no safe space in this studio when Matt Doyle is around, apparently. Wow! Group D, though, U.S., 24th in the world, Panama, Trinidad, Tobago, Guyana. Those are the opponents for the U.S. as they look to get out of the group and move on to the quarters.
That's Christian Pulisic.
That is it. They need him to do well. What is at stake for the U.S. in this tournament? Do they have to win? Is that the deal?
I don't think they have to win per se. Like, if they make it to the final and they play really well and they lose to Mexico, something like 2011, I think the fan base will be okay with that. But they have to play good soccer. They have to be tough to play against. This team has not been tough to play against in a long, long time. And we got to create stars. We know who Pulisic is. We need to, whether it's Tyler Boyd or Jonathan Lewis, one of the wingers stepping up, whether it's Weston McKennie really coming into his own as a central midfielder. I think that's his position. Schalke have played him everywhere on the damn map. Like, if Weston McKennie has like a great tournament, that would be so helpful. And then one of the center backs, like Walker Zimmerman's been incredible in MLS this year. If he plays like that in the Gold Cup, it would feel good to see a U.S. center back play like that in a game that means something again.
All those players stepping forward, I think big opportunity there, and that's the magic that is the Gold Cup. But I think it'll be a name that people know well, Josie Altidore, that is going to play a pivotal role. I expect him to be right there for the Golden Boot of this tournament. I think he's re-energized, coming back with the men's national team in a system that I think will really suit him if it's flowing well, playing with Christian Pulisic and some of the pieces that are around him now with that dynamic midfield. Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, maybe Michael Bradley, that three I think is going to be really strong, hopefully. So I expect Josie to really lead this line and really find a lot of goals and success in this tournament.
The best the U.S. has probably comes through Josie Altidore via other attacking pieces. Got to figure out the mix in midfield, on the back line as well. It is prediction time. It is also the time when everybody gets a little bit nervous, maybe changes what they think. Give me the final. Who's in the final? Is it U.S.-Mexico? Anybody going away from that? Doyle, you probably are, because you picked Canada every time we've done this.
Yeah, I pick Canada to win every time the Gold Cup happens. I have belief in our northern.
It's your fault they don't?
It might be, actually. I haven't been a good luck charm for a long, long time. I'll pick Canada versus U.S. in the final, and I think, Alphonso Davies goes supernova and breaks hearts down here in the U.S.
Any non-Mexico finalists here?
Do those still exist, those hearts you speak of?
Well, we don't know.
No, man. No, Andrew, I have no problem saying this. The expectation for the U.S. men's national team in this Gold Cup should be to win it. I know a lot of people out there will say that's unrealistic. This isn't the same the U.S. men's national team. Plus, CONCACAF is getting better. But I have no problem saying that the expectations for this program have been and should continue to be to win the whole dang thing, because you have to keep that bar high in order to strive to meet it.
I agree, it should be. I just can't go that far.
Wait, Bobby didn't make a prediction.
USA,
Yeah.
that final. I'll say USA and Mexico in the final. And USA, that will always be my prediction. I will continue to keep that bar high.
Let's go. Yes.
I have trouble making that just because of the form that the U.S. has been in and the lack of continuity, not being able to get this group together. I think if they can get that group gelling when they bring in Tyler Adams, Christian Pulisic, they get Weston, all these guys playing together, then potentially, but I could also see it going the other way really quickly with even an early exit with a one-off the way this team has been playing. So I still have Mexico winning it. I'm picking the United States to get to the final because I think they will figure it out, but I think that's going to be the U.S.-Mexico final is for me.
I thought I was going to attract the trolls with the exact same pick. I'm going Mexico as well. Just the experience in this tournament, Tata Martino, they may not have their A squad, but there are a lot of question marks throughout the rest of the field. I think Mexico wins this thing, the U.S. in the final. I would be happy, pleasantly surprised, let's say, if I was wrong. We will be there every step of the way with you on Club and Country pregame and postgame shows around every U.S. men's national team Gold Cup match. You can watch those on MLSsoccer.com. The MLS app, Twitter, and Facebook. The post-game shows are also on YouTube. Of course, all the columns, all the coverage, everything you're used to, extra time, driven by Continentals on MLSsoccer.com as well. We're getting out of here. Enjoy the tournament, everybody.